Hello and welcome to High Vibe Astrology. This is Jennifer. Thank you for joining me as we take a look at the Gemini new moon drawn up for June 6th, 2024 at 8:37 a.m. Eastern Time. If you're new, thank you for being here, for finding this channel, and for supporting this community with your energy. I invite you to subscribe, hit that like button, and share these messages as you feel guided, which are all free and easy ways to support this channel. If you're tuning in for the first time, my style of interpretation views the astrology chart as a microcosm for humanity's unfolding story. I share what comes from my own spiritual guidance, including oracle messages that never fail to illuminate the astrological story in ways that fortify our connection to the cosmos, and the fact that the heavens really do declare the glory of God that dwells within every living soul and within every cell of our being. As always, I trust you to decide what applies to your life and leave the rest behind. As I tuned into this Gemini new moon chart, I was guided to pull from my angelic messenger deck to get to the heart of this lunar cycle's message. No matter how many times the universe proves its incredible love and wisdom in this way, I am always absolutely astounded by the stunning truth that comes through to deepen our own understanding as we navigate life and its trials, tribulations, its ups and downs, its peaks and valleys. But Spirit always provides a steady hand, bringing us right back to the center of who we are. So these messages never fail to illuminate the core essence of the astrological story. And what is it that we are coming to understand at this lunar cycle? It is nothing less than really getting at every cell of our being that there is an inseparable and indivisible connection between our humanness and our divinity, and that nothing at all that we are going through goes unnoticed by the divine. And if we're struggling, we need to ask for help. The oracle message from the angels this time is tenderness and resolving the challenge of developing more meaningful communication with those we love and those with whom we work. There also seems to be a continuity between this and previous lunar cycles. In this chart, as was the case at the Sagittarius full moon, we have Cancer rising and Capricorn on the descendant, Aries on the midheaven and Libra on the IC. We have an emphasis once again on the placements at the midheaven, the top of the chart involving the 9th, 10th, and the 11th houses. So I'm going to break this all down as we look at the chart. But for now, the fact that our oracle message refers to communication, a very Gemini theme, is in itself anything but a coincidence. Let's remember too that the communication highway in the physical body is the central nervous system traveling along the spinal column to and from the brain, and it is ruled by Gemini. So this Gemini new moon cycle can mark a period of time when we can actually heal. We can facilitate better movement through the breath as well as through our conscious communication with ourselves and with others. Anything we are not addressing at the spiritual, intangible realm or unseen levels will ultimately impact our physical health. Life force energy, Kundalini energy, must be able to move and express itself freely. It requires conscious management so that it isn't forced to move too quickly, but likewise, if it has too much resistance to move through, it can most definitely cause physical pain. So life force energy, the cosmos, the creator, wants to help us evolve at a pace that we can manage. But sometimes, as this planet, our home, as it evolves, as it gets acclimated to these higher frequencies and higher perspectives of consciousness, If our bodies are not fluid with these changes that the earth is going through, we can suffer physical pain from life force energy wanting to push through the resistance, the obstacles. So as we go through this chart, I will do my best to help us see where we might be holding on or resistant to any change that the cosmos is asking us to become more fluid with. Once again in this chart, as was the case at the Sagittarius full moon, we have Pluto in Aquarius in the 7th house. Aquarius is the sign that rules circulation of the blood as well as Kundalini. Because Pluto sits in the 7th house of business and personal relationships, it is still in the process of transforming our connections to other people, our connections to the mirrors in our lives. Pluto wants us to get in touch with our deepest desires, our authentic passion for life, and the inner knowing that aligns with our connection to spirit, so that we can express ourselves in the world in ways that align with our soul's true purpose. Pluto is purging right now anything and anyone who doesn't support our most authentic expression. And I have to mention here that for those born in the late 60s and early 70s who have Sedna in early degree Taurus are experiencing a very uncomfortable square right now, from transiting Pluto in early Aquarius to natal Sedna in early Taurus. Two extreme heavyweight planets in square. This is a crisis point highlighting the old paradigm that Pluto is destroying and the new paradigm heralded by Sedna, and that Sedna is as the way shower, bringing in and helping us give birth to. Pluto's energy drags us through hell before our rebirth. Pluto represents the phoenix in the Scorpio journey. And right now it is in a power struggle with Sedna for those who were born in the late 60s and early 70s. Sedna wants us to remember the power we have as we tap into our own primordial immortality. She wants us to remember to stay fluid with the change, to not resist the change, and especially as she has just entered Gemini, to really capitalize on the power we have as sovereign beings to rewrite, recreate our story. When we decide we no longer need or wish to suffer the extremes brought on by old karmic patterns and brought on by Pluto's alchemical fire, Sedna is there to help us transcend those disparate parts of ourself and our human finite nature with our spiritual infinite immortality. Pluto and Sedna, along with Mars, co-rule Scorpio, the only sign in the zodiac with 3 symbols, the scorpion, the phoenix, and the eagle. Mars uses the ego to try to control outer circumstances. It wants to hang on to status quo for dear life because it's afraid to change. Pluto purges and purifies with its alchemical fire, and it does drag us through the fires of hell until we surrender to the process of change and allow the ego to say goodbye to the old ways. Sedna, on the other hand, as the immortal sea woman, is asking us to fluidly surrender to our metamorphosis, to surrender to our immortality and allow Divine Source to carry us on the current that the eagle soars on with ease, grace, and the vision of the eagle. Sedna's energy is working on unity with this Gemini new moon in ways that allow us to rewrite our future so that we can liberate ourselves from this old 3D paradigm that is designed to keep us in hell. It reminds me of the song Hotel California. You can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. But we can leave, and Sedna is reminding us just how to do that. She is the way shower, helping us remember the infinite spiritual wealth that resides within every cell of our body and within our DNA and our blood. She's reminding us that we have the power to conquer any seemingly unsolvable problem we're currently viewing through our limited human perspective. So let's look at this Gemini stellium in the 11th house. The 11th house represents our own and the collective's evolutionary change. It rules over groups, allies, our future hopes and wishes, as well as breaking through and breaking out of status quo and any stagnant energy. While this new moon rules the chart with Cancer rising, Mercury rules this Gemini new moon. Mercury is the mediator between Jupiter and Sedna on one side and the Sun, Moon, and Venus on the other. This is a lot of Gemini energy, really wanting to move us along our evolutionary purpose without restraint. It's an air sign in an air house. So it kind of has the effects of a cyclone, completely rearranging our lives. But only if we've been resistant to certain changes Spirit has been asking us to make along the way. And if that's the case, it may feel like there are sudden changes taking place, but ultimately it will be for our highest good. Now, I do want to mention that because we have the same constellations and signs ruling the houses in this chart as we did at the Sagittarius full moon, we once again have Sagittarius on the 6th house cusp, ruling over our daily devotions as well as our overall health. And this says to me that faith, represented by Sagittarius, is going to play a key role in how we heal ourselves if we are having to deal with any physical issues. The low vibe of Sagittarius can mean having a dogmatic approach or pinpointed viewpoint, like the archer, that single point of the archer's bow, and having that type of attitude when it comes to healing. But the high vibe of Sagittarius wants us to remember how many options we have on the horizon, to keep an open mind where that is concerned, and, actually having faith that we can overcome any health issues we're dealing with, especially with Jupiter conjunct Mercury, the ruler of this Gemini new moon. The opportunity is there to write, communicate, and to express certain things that have been stuck and possibly causing physical pain or other deleterious effects on our health and well-being. With Taurus on the 11th house cusp, this means that Venus rules that 11th house, and Venus is holding solidarity with this Gemini new moon because it's conjunct at exactly the same degree, 16 degrees of Gemini. Another aspect that might appear to be negative at first glance is the square between Venus and Saturn, and between Saturn and this new moon. But I actually see this as Saturn helping to temper and slow down the mercurial speed Gemini usually brings with it, especially with all of that air in an air house. So Saturn is kind of slowing down the pace a bit. I feel that any resistance we may be feeling at this time is symbolized by the Aries conjunction in the 10th house and the square from Mars and Chiron to the ascendant, the Cancer ascendant. The 10th house is an earth house ruled by Capricorn and its planetary ruler Saturn. So it's slow. Earth signs in general and the earth element is one that moves so slowly it's virtually indiscernible to the naked eye. But all of this Aries fiery energy, the impulsive nature of Aries that just wants to move, let's go and get it done, In that earth house, this is like having one foot on the gas pedal and one foot on the brake simultaneously. And if we don't manage this energy properly, we could burn out the engine. So we do have to be careful. We have to use the Aries energy to fuel the changes that we want to make with a more subdued or tempered and controlled fire and inspiration, making sure that we're pacing ourselves properly. It's not about giving up on our goals, desires, or destiny by any means. We will accomplish these goals. We will get there, but we have to be patient at this time, and Aries doesn't really want to be patient. We find Saturn in Pisces, again in the 9th house, signifying that our task or spiritual homework is to attain spiritual mastery and autonomy. We can appreciate unity of consciousness represented by Pisces without blending into the collective's idea of how we should express our own spirituality. That is the low vibe of Pisces, of just blending into anonymity. So we have to master spiritual sovereignty and recognize how this actually serves the collective much more effectively than following the crowd. Just as the Oracle message 1 from the last video and at the Sagittarius full moon was illuminating how things that appear to be opposite and disparate or having no connection, these compartmentalized aspects of ourself, it reminded us that all really is one in spirit. It was guiding us to transcend duality, to stop thinking in the either or, black and white, this or that mentality, and to realize instead that all perspectives hold truth and all are united by spirit, by the Creator, as one. It's only our limited human perspective that wants to separate, label, and compartmentalize. Then we had the Oracle message, A New Gown, which talked about our divine royalty and how that is what we need to recognize within ourselves so that we can leave the tattered 3D reality and paradigm behind and step into our spiritual royalty. And this is exactly what Sedna's message is about as well, to embrace our humanness, but not to the extent that we are separating our humanness from our spiritual origin. So we just have to trust the Creator, to remember that we are held in tenderness by divine source, and to treat ourselves with the same tenderness as we evolve at the perfect pace that works for us. Our higher self knows exactly how to guide us to this new paradigm that we are birthing on the planet right now. So that wraps up the astrology portion, but I hope that you will stay tuned for the oracle message that follows and for the planetary frequencies that harmonically support this lunar cycle. As always, I so appreciate you tuning in, and I look forward to being with you next time. Bye for now. In this angelic messenger deck, there are different categories for all of the cards, and this one falls into the relationship category. This is tenderness. Present challenge: developing more meaningful communication with those you love and work with. You have drawn this card to guide you toward more effective and intuitive communication with others. You have come to a time when you are being urged to release old influences that keep you preoccupied in conversation or in unnecessarily defensive and protective statements of your own view or ideas. This card is meant to help you put aside your past and to accept a different future. This may be a time of rapid change in relationships with those close to you. You are entering an important process of spiritual growth in which celebration of life is required, and so your relationships are needing to become lighter, more playful, and less ponderous, but at the same time capable of greater depth. With this card, you are being guided to hold your own counsel and to proceed from inner power. Tenderness is a profound spiritual quality embodying the deepest and most essential ingredients in lasting relationships. Tenderness speaks to a suppleness of spirit, flexibility in moving, shifting, and accepting different opinions and objectives, and recognition of one's physical finiteness, and the opposite as one's spiritual immortality. Tenderness is present in any bonding between people because it acknowledges the inevitable human struggle for life and happiness, along with an acceptance that in the end all things die to be reborn. Tenderness awakens your deepest compassion. It also helps you trust others because you and they accept that dialogue is meant to encourage and shape rather than to tear down or undermine. You have entered a decade of rapid and dramatic change, and in order for your relationships to withstand these sweeping energy shifts, two factors will need to be held firmly in your awareness. First, you are responsible for communicating from the values and knowledge held by your spirit rather than only from your mind and emotions. Second, your spirit holds the truth of your existence. If you learn to listen to it, you will be able to hear your own emotional needs and at the same time act in alignment with your spirit. Relationships change at the spiritual level before noticeably changing on the emotional level. Long before a person breaks out of any sort of relationship, he or she has learned or felt something deeply true that has not been honored or expressed. Communication that lifts the spirit is based on acknowledgement of life as a spiritual process. Relationships are metamorphosing as people awaken to their inner spiritual perspectives and values. People come together today to help their spirits mirror a primordial wisdom that comes from deep within. Relationships are joyful and important to your life only when they enhance or shift your own inner wisdom. For this to happen, you need to trust, value, and respect those you enter relationships with, or you will be unable to accomplish your spiritual mission. The guidance through this flower can help you observe and learn from the contrasts and complementarity of your inner and outer natures. This lovely flower image shows you its own difference between its outer presence, or symbolically the face it shows to the world, and its inner nature, the divinely inspired essence. This flower's external color of pink represents love and guides you to appreciate the importance of giving and receiving love in your life. The inner image of white symbolizes divine perfection and is set off by pinpoints of crimson, which represent moments of bliss, meaningful guidance, and interaction with the divine and the universal teachers. This image is a metaphor for your life and the continuity that is possible when your life reflects tenderness. This card urges you to create a new language with your partner or others close to you. You need to recognize that you and your spouse, child, parent is trying to tell you something by his or her remarks, actions, and or assumed inability or unwillingness to meet your needs adequately. Assume that when your needs are unmet, so are those of the other persons. Ask those close to you to participate in creating meaningful ground rules that apply to arguments and misunderstandings. Consider such practices as always using the first person, I or me, when speaking. Refuse to accept that one person is right and the other is wrong. Speak your truth while at the same time accepting that others will see their truth more easily than yours. Believe in yourself enough to ask others to hear what you need to say. Setting up a shared personal language for relationships allows you and others to express your feelings and your beliefs while at the same time making room for others to also be as right and as sure of their opinions as you are.